Okay, today we have a presentation for you on antibiotic use in agriculture. This is for BIO106 group project, October 19th, 2015, by Carrie Vanucci, Andrea Barrios, Marisa Burnt, John Lynch, and Sherry Merkley. Now, an overview of this presentation. We're going to look at how antibiotics are used in agriculture, how antibiotic use in agriculture affects the microbiomes of farm animals, so far as we know, how could this affect your microbiome, and how agricultural use of antibiotics affects development of antibiotic resistance. Now we have a graphic here about how antibiotics are used in agriculture. Shows factory farms are breeding grounds for bacteria with thousands of animals living in crowded and sanitary conditions. These animals, the producers at these farms use antibiotics to prevent, control, and treat diseases and to fatten up the animals quickly. The drugs kill off weak bacteria but leave the strongest bacteria, creating superbugs. These resistant superbugs travel out via the farm workers, the animals, food we eat, and the manure that gets into the air and soil and then contaminates fruits, vegetables, and crops that we eat. The result can be serious life-threatening infections that can no longer be treated by antibiotics. How are antibiotics used in agriculture? This is a graphic showing how antibiotics are given to animals, and then in the guts of these animals it shows how the antibiotics kill most bacteria, leaving behind some resistant bacteria that survive and multiply, creating superbugs. These spread to animal products, fruits and vegetables, things that we eat. They contaminate our food surfaces and the soil, and are spread around to other animals and to humans. 80% of antibiotics in the U.S. are used on factory farms. 80% of the antibiotics sold in the U.S. are used in agricultural production. A majority of these antibiotics are used on healthy animals to promote growth or prevent disease. Most food animals in the U.S. are exposed to antimicrobials through their feed, water, or by injection in some point in their lives. Now, types of antibiotics in agriculture. Antibiotics are administered using two different agricultural contexts: therapy and growth promotion. Therapy promotion is the use of antibiotics to animals in order to treat illness and disease. Growth promotion is the use of antibiotics, usually as a feed additive or over an extended period of time, to improve the animal's physiological performance. Here we have a graphic and some photos showing antibiotics being administered to different farm animals. Now, which bacteria did the antibiotics affect? We have a list of different antibiotics here showing how antibiotics affect gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria and which antibiotics these can affect. Now, here's some information on what parts of the cell these antibiotics target, showing different antibiotics and how they affect cell wall formation, DNA synthesis, protein synthesis, cell membranes, different things like that. Now, how does antibiotic use in agriculture affect the microbiomes of farm animals? The overuse of antibiotics is causing resistance in superbugs, making the treatment of disease harder to handle. Resistance of these pathogens are causing an increase in the number of infections to both humans and to animals. Here's looking at superbug resistance, showing how animals receive these antibiotics. Bacteria become resistant to them. This travels to our food supply and then eventually to our gut. Now, how does antibiotic use in agriculture affect the microbiomes of farm animals? Now, there are three ways in which the use of antibiotics are causing resistance in farm animals. First, spontaneous mutations in the cellular DNA are causing alterations in the target proteins. Second, bacteria riding the body of antibiotics due to change in DNA function and structure. And third, altering the antibiotics into an innocuous or harmful form. Now, how could this affect your microbiome? We're uncertain as to how much of an impact agricultural antibiotics have on resistant strains that are pathogenic to humans. There's a huge potential pool of microbes that could possibly mutate to become harmful to humans. 13 million kilograms of antibiotics are used per year in U.S. agriculture. They're used as maintenance and not to treat active illnesses. Many of these antibiotics are identical to the ones used for humans. Humans infected by strains that cannot be passed human to human, such as Salmonella. Humans are infected by strains that are already capable of being passed human to human, such as swine flu. And human strain receives resistance genes from animal strains. Resistance varies antibiotics. And here we have a graphic showing more resistant bacteria in food animals, how it's influenced by antibiotic use, and how this is transmitted through food and resistant genes and causing sporadic disease and illnesses in humans. Risk assessments have routinely found less than 100 deaths per year that can be attributed to antibiotic resistance due to preventative use of antibiotics in the U.S. Different areas of the world may have different strains of bacteria, some more resistant than others, such as Enterococcus faecium. It's carrying the Van-A resistance element for vancomycin. It's found in Europe, and it wasn't found in the U.S. until 2008. Now we have a graphic here showing how agricultural use of antibiotics affect development of antibiotic resistance. And this works similar to pesticide resistance. Here we have a bunch of normal bacteria, including a resistant variety right here in the center. These get bathed in antibiotics. Most of the normal bacteria die, except we still have the resistant one right there and a normal bacteria here. The resistant bacteria then multiply and become more common. Shows those kind of overtaking the normal bacteria and then some of those dying. Eventually, these entire infection evolves into this resistant bacterial strain that we don't know how to treat. And lastly, we have this other graphic showing how agricultural use of antibiotics affects the development of antibiotic resistance. So antibiotics being administered to humans and to animals, these develop resistant bacteria in both guts of humans and in animals. These are transmitted to our food and to fertilizer and soil by the animals' droppings and things like that. So it ends up on different crops, fruits and vegetables and things like that. So these both end up in our food and back in our guts this way. Also, when either the person treated with antibiotics or from our food, we transmit this to other people via public interactions or hospitals, nursing homes, other care facilities where people's immune systems are weaker. It's real easy to spread this resistant bacteria to other people, either directly or indirectly via surfaces in the facility or unclean hands by different healthcare providers. So it's kind of a vicious circle that we have here that shows how these antibiotics cause this bacterial resistance in superbugs. And that's the end of our presentation here, and we have a list of our works cited. I hope you enjoyed our presentation on antibiotic use in agriculture and the bacterial resistance in superbugs. Thank you very much.